Samantha Wilson has been sentenced to 20 years in prison with 5 suspended for a 15-year sentence on a plea agreement that reduced a felony murder charge to manslaughter. The charges also include contact by bodily fluids. Wilson, again, 15 years in prison with 5 years of supervised probation for the murder of Jonah Borth in Northwood last winter.
Northwood Ambulance and Fire, can you respond to 212 Lander Avenue? 212 Lander Avenue for a subject who's been shot in the upper right chest area. Do have a pulse, but there is some agonal breathing. We are starting CPR. It looks like they have stopped breathing at this time.
Now, court documents don't spell out the relationship between Wilson and the victim. However, a couple of acquaintances tell me the victim's father was a friend of Wilson's. Here's what court documents say happened inside this home. Reading from the criminal complaint, quote, on January 26, 2020, at approximately 9:38 p.m., deputies with the Grand Forks County Sheriff's Department responded for a report of a male subject with a gunshot wound. Law enforcement and emergency medical personnel attempted life-saving measures on the male subject, which were ultimately unsuccessful. The male was pronounced dead at the scene. Through the investigation, it was learned that Samantha Wilson utilized a 9mm pistol to fire at least one round, which struck the male victim in the area of the chest and throat. Samantha Wilson did commit the crime of murder by causing the death of another human being under circumstances manifesting an extreme indifference to the value of human life by pointing a loaded firearm at another human being and pulling the trigger. The action resulted in the death of a juvenile male identified as JB. As iNewZ has learned, Jonah Borth. Back to the criminal complaint. Samantha Wilson was placed under arrest and transported to the Grand Forks County Correctional Center. Prior to arriving at the Correctional Center, Samantha Wilson became uncooperative and began banging her head on the windows and cage of the Sheriff's Office patrol vehicle. When personnel attempted to take custody of Samantha Wilson, she intentionally spit blood onto at least one correctional officer. Again, Samantha Wilson is sentenced to 15 years in prison under a plea agreement for the murder of Jonah Borth in Northwood last January. I'm Neil Carlson reporting for iNewZ.TV.